Hey guys, Arm&Gun here tonight with another Upgrading Guns video for you. This time taking on a bit different of a theme, in the fact that it's actually got a theme. Usually it's just a factory gun that we go through, do a bunch of upgrades over the factory components, kind of kit it out, get some Gucci gear on there and get it range ready. But tonight we're talking about two rifles that I desperately love and have used a lot, as these are my basically daily drivers for training purposes. No, I'm not LEO or military or anything like that, but I'm a civilian and I do train with stuff. Right now, of course, basically dry fire for obvious reasons, but hey, you can cover a lot of your basic fundamentals and manipulations just through dry fire. And I believe it's incredibly important to train with your guns as they are, as you would use them in that, real world scenario. Whether it's just competition use or something that goes bump in the night, without rule of law, or even shit hit the fan and you're, basically going to a without rule of law scenario. So that's kind of how I have these two guns set up. They're both very similar until recently when I kind of picked a ditch and I got one for general purpose, including some nighttime stuff. Again, bump in the night, we got a flashlight, that's good to go. But this one is set up with respect to use with night vision. And that largely comes down to this little unit right here, which was actually the catalyst for this video. Just last night, I received this. A buddy lent it to me. It's a Steiner D-Ball, standing for dual beam aiming laser. It's an A3 model, and that thing with night vision is freaking cool. And it seriously does allow for next level capabilities with a firearm at night. If you're watching this video basically as it was published, hit up my YouTube channel. It's probably still live. I posted last night some footage having had this PVS 14 smashed right up against my iPhone, basically holding that in two hands like this with the rifle in the other hand manipulating the D-ball, and you could see through the night vision monocular what the IR laser and illuminator looked like. It was really freaking cool. Again, that being totally invisible to the naked eye. So if you're a dude running around at night in a crap hit the fan situation, you've got night vision and you've got a gun with those capabilities, man, the dude running around with an AR with a flashlight is just not even in the game. So PSA guys, nods are freaking cool, and if you guys are serious about the whole practical, tactical element, I would start looking through them, because I did this year and it totally changed the way I looked at getting guns set up. And it is something I'm gonna be working with a lot more going forward, and it'd be my recommendation that you do as well. So today we're gonna cover my daytime build, or my general purpose build. I'm gonna go through that and why I've selected the components I have. Do the same thing with this one over here. I think I've somewhat defined the role of these guns and what I mean by do work, insofar as, again, it's the gun I'm training with, running drills with, and it's the same gun I would grab in a worst case scenario. Now, why did I choose 5.56 SBRs? Again, this is an 11.5 inch CQB Knights, and this is an 11 inch 416 variant. And without getting into crazy detail about it, I did a video about my top 5 practical firearms. And next to an EDC handgun, I peg the SBR as being the next most practical firearm for a wide range of uses, and I talk about it more there. But for the intent of this video and these rifles, they were set up for CQB engagements, so maybe pushing it to 400 meters, but essentially 300 meters and in, with a focus on 150, 100 meters and in. Now you can probably argue with me, well, why don't you do a 300 blackout in, save yourself, a few more inches, do a 7-inch barrel or a 9-inch barrel, like this Battle Arms development. That's a 300 blackout, 9-inch build. And you could be totally right, but we're talking about 11-inch guns, 5.56 guns right now. Down the road, we'll talk about 300 blackout, we'll talk about 14.5 range guns, 16s and even 18s, at which point you're basically stretching out the 5.56 cartridge as far as it's gonna go, and you're gonna start moving into the 6.5 and 308 platforms. Guys, if you're thinking right now, this isn't even for you, I live in the middle of nowhere, I can see guys coming from a mile in every direction, kind of like me, then maybe you just wanna grab one of these, because that's gonna do the trick for you there. But in any extended, issue long term, you're gonna want one of these things because it's just handy to run around with and a good time. So in addition to talking about how I have both of these platforms set up, I'll also talk a little bit about shooting with nods in general and a couple of the interesting aspects you wouldn't necessarily have considered had you not already done that. And there's some really interesting stuff that I learned and was surprised by it, so I'll include that for you guys here as well. A couple quick disclaimers. These guns aren't perfectly set up yet. They're still kind of works in progress. But at this point in time, I do know what components I want to outfit these guns to, finish them for now. So I'll let you guys know what those are when I'm going through each build. And also, there's no slings on these guns right now. No, I'm not some kook that doesn't play with slings. I just am still literally playing with my favorite, trying to figure out what my best setup is. And it's kind of a personal thing anyway, so I kind of just ditched the slings to keep things a little less cluttered up on the table here, and we can always cover that in a different video. So So let's kick things off by going through my general purpose or daytime focused build. All right, first things first on this gun, we got an LMT SOP mod style stock. These things are fantastic. Lower price version is going to be a B5, Bravo B5, which are nice as well. I really like this sloped surface here that's plain just for your cheek. It allows you to get a variety of very comfortable and solid cheek welds to accommodate various optics heights. So it's a good time. Then moving ahead from there, I guess I'll prove the gun clear. So we are handling it now. I got a Radiant Raptor charging handle. These things, easily my favorite charging handle out there. And then ahead from that, we've got the always lovely Elcan Spectre DR. This is a 1X and a 4X optic, and that's all you do, is you just switch immediately between those two. And again, I'm not gonna go with an LVPO because this gun is essentially exclusively for inside 400 meters. This is pretty decent weight considering it's an optic and mount system all in one. Yes, the arm levers are a little circa 2004, but this thing is still bomb-proof. You've got provision for an RMR or an RDS sight, such as on this Elcan here. I got one up there. And then they've got these little iron sights below as well, which are just really nice. I find I've used those quite a bit. And you've got great glass etched reticle, so even if the battery dies, you're gonna be able to use this thing. It's got a ballistically dropped reticle as well, so you can do some ranging out with this thing, and it's just, this thing is set up to go. You can also have the provision for an ARD, like this, an anti-reflection device or a kill flash, and that, given the scenario that you'd be talking about this rifle and the context it's being used in, that can be a good thing as well. Now I've kept this build pretty minimalistic overall, so going ahead from there, I've just got a flashlight, which is this, yes, it's an Olight. I've got an Olight on the nights. That's pretty weird, especially for this channel, because I'm typically only focusing on, you know, the super Gucci stuff, like I got a Surefire Scout on this guy. And to be honest, I probably wouldn't ride into war with this thing. It's not, you know, it's a little bit of rattle in there, but this thing did eat shit earlier, and it basically's got a bit of laminate flooring, you know, stuck in there that, you know, chewed up, and it's fine. Like it takes a beating and it keeps on ticking. It's got a really handy rechargeable tail cap, and then also works as a little clicky cap as well. So 2000 lumens, nice concentrated beam. Like it's actually a pretty solid light, and it's QD as well. So I can just pop it right off if I want to, which is also convenient. But I really do want to try out the cloud defense of their new Rain. That thing looks friggin' amazing. And when I'm done with this gun, I will have a different light on it. But for the money, these things are really hard to beat. They are a really good quality product, and I'll leave it at that. I've got another video talking about this light more in depth. So you guys want to learn more about it, you can learn about it there. The final thing this thing is missing, well, you could argue a few other things, but it's pretty comfortable for me. And I've got an NT4 compatible flash hider up here. It's a Knights suppressor host essentially, but it's super outdated. I'm gonna probably swap this out with one of their newer QDC muzzle devices and throw a QDC can on there because those are pretty sick. And that would just be fitting for a Knights build. The one other thing I need to do with this gun is swap the safety, because this guy's got a 90-degree throw and I just can't hack those anymore. 60 degrees are nice, 45s, so I'm gonna throw in a Radiant Talon, and I might throw in a Battle Arms Development extended magazine release as well, because even though, you know, this is good, this is, my index finger's kind of right there, the Battle Arms Development ones are just that much bigger, and when I get my thumb or my finger over it, it's just got the whole, you know, pad of my finger right there, and I find it's just a little more reliable, wet gloves, less fumbling, so I do like that. I might also throw in a different, I don't think I need to throw in a different trigger, because I'll just drop the bolt. The Knights triggers are honestly really good. They're like a mil-spec enhanced and then like enhanced again. They're smooth, they're crisp, pretty light pull. It's a nice two-stage match style trigger. Overall, I like it enough that I probably won't change it. One other key component that I'm seriously considering putting on this guy is a Law Tactical folder, because that allows me to, well, really get that overall length of the gun down, at least for a first round shot, and it means I can throw it in a bag much more easily. I can increase the go bag ability of this firearm, and I've got videos discussing it. I got a top 5, and my last Ultimate Gun Room video when I talked about using a tool chest for gun and gear storage, I basically put together something called a bug out locker, and that's this guy right here, which I still have ready to go. In fact, a P90 has also found its way in there as well. Basically just a locker that's got all your kit stored up, locked up nice and safe, so it's ready just to grab and throw in your go bag, or just grab and it's a loadout kind of ready to go as it is. All right, so this guy here has changed a ton recently, and just prove it clear. Again, gotta love those Radiant Raptors. And that's largely because this thing is now set up with, well, for use with nods, and that allowed me to clean out some other stuff that was just having excess weight that wasn't needed. You know, this one was sporting this other Elcan before, and honestly, for inside the ranges again I was talking about using, at nighttime with nods, again with an IR laser, such as this thing, super cool. You can basically ditch this, because under nods, you're not even gonna really use sights. You're gonna aim based on your laser, which is just seriously next level capabilities when you're talking about using a firearm effectively at night. So I ditched that. I threw on the little aim point, which is nods compatible as well. The Elcans actually are compatible. You can do an AN or PVS 22 clip-on in front, and the initial brightness settings are also quite low, so they're not really going to interfere, from my opinion, with nods. But this one's specifically set up with some night vision settings that are very low, and again, just lighter weight, because this thing, let's be honest, the HK is a chonky girl up front with that heavy piston system, heavy barrel, and it got a little heavier when I threw all this stuff up top there. So we'll go through all this stuff and what it does and what it means and what its purpose is, and then I'll tell you again a few other parts that I'm considering swapping on this gun going forward, and then we'll cover a couple specific to shooting with nods aspects. So again, LMT salt mod stock, got some Geisley Gucci-ness going on up here, and then up here I've got two different pressure pads, and yes, I could link them into a single one. I just didn't yet, but we got a Surefire pressure pad here and this nice little Cloud Defensive little mount here that mounts your tape switch securely to your rail without use of zip ties or Velcro or tape or whatnot. So it locks it in there. Also provides a little bit of cable management, which is really nice, and that actuates that light. I do also have the dual tail cap, so I can also, you know, come over here and grab it with the side as well if I'm running it with my offhand. That's super convenient. Guns should be set up in mind, whether you're a righty or lefty. Crappy scenarios, you might be forced to use your firearm with your offhand. You get injured, you're just in an awkward spot, whatever. So it's always good to keep that in mind. And again, it's nice why this particular model is super convenient with all of its ambidextrous controls. Now moving forward to this unit up here, the D-ball, the only thing that you're gonna do with it visible is it's got a laser on it. So that's coming on the one side. It's a pretty powerful green laser. And then all these other settings on the back here, which you just switch with this dial, those are all in the IR spectrum, infrared, and you can't see them with the naked eye. You need, you know, image intensifying equipment such as this PVS 14 that amplifies ambient light and can also see infrared signatures. That allows you then to pick up what this thing has, basically an IR illuminator or an IR flashlight, which is kind of diffusing a more powerful laser and spreading it out into kind of like a beam, so it appears like a flashlight under night vision. And then there's also, just as there's this green laser over here, there's also an IR laser as well that you can't see. And I'll turn it on right now. All these settings, you can't see anything, but you can if you have night vision on, which is really freaking cool. And the one drawback with the D-ball is that, at least the A3, the illuminator isn't crazy bright. So I would benefit on this platform now by going with something like a Vampire or a dual purpose flashlight that gives you both white light and IR light. Because then again, you can just flood, you can get a much bigger, you know, IR flashlight out there, and you can just see that much better. If there's really low ambient light, that might be more prudent. You can also address those things with different IR illuminators on your helmet. And if you're running around with night vision, you're gonna probably want a good helmet to support that. I'm gonna be doing a lot of stuff with the DevTac Ronin really soon. Been talking with Wes over there for a long time lover of and believer in the Ronin. And well, very non-traditional for a full face ballistic solution. I don't think you can beat it. So I'm gonna be getting one of those on the channel really quickly to be training with, and we'll be able to provide more updates on that as well. Now, in addition to removing the Elcan, I also removed the backup sights that I had. As beautiful as they were, the Knights micro sights that I had on here, just tucked in perfectly with the D-ball. I'll roll a quick clip in with that. Damn, she tucks in nice. But ultimately, guys, if you're using this thing with nods, you're not even gonna be really looking through your optic. The last thing you need is backup sights. So I just gave it a bit of a diet, stripped off some weight, and that's what we were left with. Now going forward, because this thing has a Geisley trigger, I'm going to, which is pretty fantastic by the way, that disables the traditional HK, functionality of a safety selector that can also go on to safe, even with the hammer down. So because of that, I'm probably gonna swap this out with another Radiant Talon. I think I'm gonna swap out this grip. Happy with the stock. My optic, I'm gonna replace this mount with a higher mount, a 1.93 by Scalarworks, just because, again, if you are gonna look through this, it's nicer when you've got nods and all that and a helmet on, all that kind of crazy crap. You don't want that all getting and messing up with your cheek weld. So the higher that your red dot is up, the more easy it is. You can just kind of bring this up to your face, look through it, you know, using the IR laser to provide your primary aiming solution. And that's going to be basically good. Gonna look to do some type of dual tape switch integration just so I can kind of clean this up a little bit more. And then I've got a Surefire, but it doesn't mount to this guy. This is a factory HK, and it is rock set on there. And these are not a fun time to get off. I know because I got it off my other HK upper, and it was a prick. And I also don't have another M15 thread pitch muzzle device. This is a closed tine war comp, which is compatible with the Surefire, but I need a another M15 before I do that anyways. But that would be the way to go, is get that Surefire device on there, get this can on there, and then we're rocking. Two other very small changes. After I just finished bashing, you know, backup iron sights on Nod's guns, there is an option for you guys that just have to have a front sight. They look pretty sexy too, so I might be throwing one of mine. That's the Leaf front sight by Railscales. It basically hooks right into your D-ball. Looks really good, and it basically weighs nothing, so if you really have to have that on there, go ahead and grab one of those. And then also there's a whole bunch of new rail solutions out there for the 416 platform. This is the Geisley SMR. There's all Geisley has a new one out now that's a bit slimmed down. You know, again, anything you can do to give these guns a bit of a diet up front is a good thing. So they have that. Strike Industries is coming out with one. We got the Kinetic Development Group one. There's a Maxim Defense one. And there's the really super sexy Remington Defense ones if you guys can find any of those out there. I know Optics Planet had them for a little while. I may have grabbed one or two, but regardless, I'd like to get a few of them in, try them out, and see if there's a new best fit for my bump in the night gun. Couple final thoughts with regards to running guns at night is, again, it's very interesting that you basically don't use sights for your primary sighting solution. You use an IR laser or designator. Also, when you're using night vision, the flash off of guns is incredibly distracting and borderline blinding, because that flares up your tube. Then you just, it wrecks with your nighttime adaptation. It's just a whole bunch of bad stuff. Plus, everyone can see where you are. So flash hiders are a must. And cans, I mean, that's going to be even better. It's going to reduce your sound signature, but more importantly, it's going to reduce your flash signature and keep you from blinding yourself under nods. My final tip for night vision guns tonight, which I've already touched upon, is optics mounts. Again, not generally going to be your primary aiming device, at least not for CQB. But if you are using it, you're going to want to get it up quite high so that you don't have to try and smush all in to try and get a cheek weld or crunch in to get behind an optic that's low. So that's why your 1.93 and higher mounts are growing in popularity and a really good idea. All right, guys, before I go, I'm going to show you guys my floor because it's a big mess right now. And generally speaking, when my floor is a mess, there's some pretty cool stuff lying around. And as a bit of a bonus, we'll just run through that all real quick. Before that, though, I have 5 things for you if you like my content. And that is to like, comment, share, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at arm.and.gun. A lot of cool stuff that I do there doesn't make it to YouTube. And I post there daily. I do the stories and the posts. For example, last night when the D-ball came in, I grabbed my buddy's PVS-14, stuck it up to my iPhone, and I showed you guys the functionality firsthand of this cool thing through night vision. So that's just really cool stuff. Actually, what I'm going to do is if you guys have a phone and you have YouTube on your phone, go to my channel, because on YouTube Mobile, there's actually YouTube Stories now as well, and I'll throw that story on there. That means it'll be live for the next 7 days, because YouTube Stories last for 7 days for some reason. So that'll be on there for you guys. And if you like this style of content, discussing night vision, discussing, you know, guns built up to do real world crap, definitely stick around, because we're going to be doing a lot more night vision and thermal and builds like this going forward. In the next 4 months or so, I've got guns coming from Sword International, the new Purge E upper, which just like sounds friggin' amazing. Some stuff from LWRCI, Battle Arms Development, and a handful of others that are going to be well worth the wait. Also trying to wrap up a deal with Radian on a Model 1. Radian, again, being the company that makes the Raptor charging handles, super famous for that, and their Talon safety selectors. This not being a Talon, but it soon will be, because Knights is nice, but it's not the Talon. I'm going to be swapping out most of the safety selectors across my ARs with Talons, and hopefully getting a Model 1 on the channel here before long as well. That's their AR15. Dead sexy gun. I've heard from all accounts that it's freaking phenomenal, but I won't know myself until I put it through its paces on my own dime and on my own time. So Fraker, we're gonna figure this out yet, buddy. And before long, we're gonna have a Model 1 on the channel. Now for the floor. As promised, we have a Colt Canada SAS IUR. This thing is a little tank, monolithic upper, Rattler SBR, the semi-automatic M60, which I'll be running soon. Got my cat, And then the GM6 Lynx, this is a 50 cal, 50 BMG bullpup. I've done lots of content with that, including shooting it. So go check that out, it was a lot of fun. Zero compromise optic, I'm gonna be doing a review on that thing soon. Papa RPK, the Valmet 308, LVOA, Desert Tech, Robinson Armament, SIG that's thinking about dressing up in a carry handle. A lot of fun in that little guy. UMP, and then the wall. We have an MR223 and MR308, both sporting a 416 and 417 upper. Some more Knights Beauties, the OG TAR 21 Tavor, and the always Hottie Lottie, just chilling up in the corner there. So that's it for the video today, guys. Thanks a ton for chilling with me. Oh, I guess we got a SIG 1911 on the floor there as well. That's it. Okay. Oh, and the G28. Okay, and my cat again for round 2. Anyways, guys, that's it for the show tonight. Thanks a ton. I will see you all next time. Arm&Gun out.